So today I'm going to show how to do these beeswax wraps. What I have here are actually two old ones that I had done before. They need re-waxing. The first batch that I did, these ones, when I did them first time, I actually ironed them. So what I did was I had two sheets of, I had a towel on top of a table, an old towel. I had a piece of parchment paper. I put the cloth down. I sprinkled some beeswax pellets and pine resin. Sprinkled some organic jojoba oil on top of it. Oh, and then put another piece of parchment paper on top and iron. In a way it's nice, but I think I put too much wax on these, on some of them. And I read later on that you don't want to put, like, overload them with wax. That's not good. So now this time I'm going to try the melting and brushing the wax on. You brush it on, then you put the whole thing in the oven for a couple of minutes, and you might have to rebrush them to see where if you missed some spots and whatnot. So I'll show you what I've used. I've had organic beeswax pellets. So they look like this. They melt really fast. So the pine resin comes in a bag, and most of the parts are really big chunks. So you melt the resin first, which took an hour or so, just and you want to do it in a water bath, and then you add the beeswax, and that melts pretty fast, and the jojoba oil. So now what's going to happen is I have my oven at 300. I went to the paint shop, Home Depot. I'm just going to put my brush. The brush is going to be garbage after this. They said that once you do this mixture, don't throw the rest, whatever remains you have, don't throw it out. You can reuse it and remelt it. I read that when you go and remelt it, it's going to be faster, because now it's going to have that beeswax in it. So you get about maybe 6 months. I made mine in November, and now it's end of March. So that's about the length that you get out of them. You just need to wash them with cold water or not warmer than your hands, so that the wax doesn't melt again. So you have to be careful with the temperature of the water when you wash them. And you can use mild soap, but don't use them on raw meat or anything like that. That's not recommended. So I actually didn't have to brush these ones again. There was apparently enough wax on the fabric, even though it didn't show like that. Now I have a set of cloths here that I actually bought from a store. I didn't add any wax on them, I just reheated them, but because these ones are not made by me, I'm just gonna, oh yeah, I forgot it's hot. I'm gonna add a little wax on these. And like I said, make sure you cover your pan with parchment paper. I have two. I'm going to show you how it looks when I take these out of the oven. So here they are. So I brushed them once, and it's still wet, but you can see pretty quickly how it, as soon as I lift it up, like it's getting there. Now I have a piece of fabric, clean cotton. So use only 100% cotton fabric. Wash your fabric first. So here's one piece from that is not used from my ironing. It's sort of blotchy, it's not smooth, like there's bits of, I think, resin in some spots. There's definitely a lot of wax on this, like, so I just put a brand new piece of fabric there. It has some wax at the bottom, but then I'm gonna put this oversaturated piece, and then I'm gonna put, so now I'm gonna put this in here, and then I'm gonna toss this in the oven without adding anything, because I'm trying to absorb some of the wax from the oversaturated to this piece. You might also want to know why are there different recipes of doing, like some people just use beeswax, and that's fine, that will wax your piece. So what the resin is doing in this is it's going to give it that tacky feel, that's like it grabs onto itself. But when you add that jojoba oil, it's going to make it a little more smooth, so when you fold the fabric, it's not going to show those creases, or the wax is not going to crack as much. So that's why I'm doing the mixture of beeswax, pine resin, and jojoba oil. Okay, so this one is definitely now melted, and these two pieces, I'm just gonna do one at a time. You do need to add. I personally try to avoid white fabrics, like pure white, because the beeswax is yellow and the resin is yellow. It's gonna turn your fabric yellow. So here's the whole batch I had. It took me, well, first about a little more than an hour to melt that resin, then doing the actual things, approximately 2 hours to do all this. Hope you enjoyed it.